They've beaten Galactus, Doctor Doom, Annihilus, and the Super Skrull. They've vanquished Sentinels, Magneto, Apocalypse, and bad costumes. But the one opponent they couldn't defeat? Corporate spite. All that in a minute. First, the first of 4 facts you may not know about the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four are called Marvel's first family because they were the first Marvel heroes to catch on with readers. But in their first adventures, they weren't wearing their costumes. See? Fighting in street clothes. Looks kind of stupid. At the time, Marvel was such a small company that it had to have its comics distributed by its competition, the market leader DC Comics. But Marvel wasn't really considered competition by DC because Marvel's comics were mostly about monsters, which is where Groot the Talking Tree first appeared. And Marvel didn't want to lose their DC distribution by starting to encroach on their superhero turf. So the Fantastic Four looked like another monster comic and didn't get their costumes until issue 3, when sales meant Marvel was blowing up, so fuck DC. Meanwhile, back at the main story. The Fantastic Four are breaking up, and Yoko Ono isn't responsible. And the X-Men are getting the cold shoulder, and not by a world that fears and hates them. Both teams are being shunted to the negative zone. The negative zone, not the phantom zone. Don't mix up the unreal estate. First, the Fantastic Four. The new rebooted Fantastic Four movie is coming out in August. You'd think this would be good for Marvel, the film's publicity driving new interest in FF comic books, graphic novels, and merchandise. Well, you know who doesn't see it that way? Marvel, because they're using Mr. Fantastic's stretchy powers to shove their head up their ass. The Fantastic Four recently had their comic book canceled after 54 years. This follows Marvel's moves last year to withdraw all licensing of the Fantastic Four. Here's an example. On the left, the original cover for Marvel's classic Secret Wars comic. On the right, a recent t-shirt of that cover. Notice who's missing? The Thing, the Human Torch, Cyclops, Storm, and Colossus. Wolverine and Nightcrawler. All characters whose film rights are controlled by another company. Who replaced them? Daredevil, Luke Cage, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, the Inhumans, Black Bolt, and Iron Fist. All characters who have or will have upcoming film or TV projects by Marvel Studios. Even the Hulk can put 2 and 2 together. If you're wondering why Marvel doesn't own the film rights to all their characters, it's cause back in the 80s, Marvel was so desperate to get movies made of their characters, they sold film licenses at crack whore prices. Remember, this was the era when Schlockmeister's Golan Globus Superman film disaster made superhero films a harder sell than oranges on the freeway. Second Fantastic Four fact. The Thing wasn't always a rocky orange guy. In his first number of appearances, he looked like he was made of oatmeal, or the end result of oatmeal. Onwards. You may remember that this year Marvel Studios did a deal with Sony, who owns the Spider-Man movie license, to get Spidey to swing into Marvel Universe films. Well, negotiations didn't go as well with 20th Century Fox, who control the movie universes of the X-Men and Fantastic Four. In fact, it went like when superheroes meet up, and they fight, then team up. Same thing, no team up. Marvel CEO Ike Perlmutter said about removing or de-emphasizing the Fantastic Four and the X-Men from comics, toys, and merchandising, refusing to do anything that would help publicize the Fox films. In business terms, this is known as na-na-na-na-na-na. And this would be a brilliant idea if it wasn't so stupid. The Fantastic Four comic book sold around 32,000 copies a month. Even the pre-boot Fantastic Four movie got millions of butts and seats, and it turned Galactus into a sentient fart. You don't have to be an economist to figure out that a movie audience in the millions is more valuable than a comic book audience in the thousands. Unless, of course, you ask the comic book audience. A movie is a giant commercial. What better way to say F you than to have Fox risk its money on a movie, then be the one to clean up on all the merchandise? By the way, that was rhetorical. Instead, Marvel has banished the FF from all marketing and merchandising, canceled their comic, and split them up into supporting roles in other heroes' comics. The X-Men merchandising is still too lucrative to stop completely, but Marvel has put their comic book cash cow out to graze, replacing them with the Inhumans, a group of outcasts with unusual powers and sometimes freaky appearances. Okay, not that different. Marvel owns the film rights to the Inhumans, so they've popped up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show and have been put on Marvel Studios' film slate. Third Fantastic Four fact. The Thing is Jewish. Unlike 99.9% of superheroes who are nominally Christian, except Wonder Woman who deals with pagan Greek gods, and Batman whose epic survivor's guilt pegs him as a Catholic, Ben Grimm is Jewish and had a delayed bar mitzvah on the pages of the Fantastic Four. Good thing he transformed into the Thing in adulthood. I can't imagine trying to circumcise him now. So to sum up, Marvel are sidelining their longest-running comic and highest-selling super team to hurt 20th century's box office success with Marvel characters, the equivalent of using a pea shooter against the Incredible Hulk. And the only people who'll feel the pinch is Marvel. This is the mutant power of cutting off your nose to spite your face. Thing is, I'm not even sure this new Fantastic Four movie's gonna be a hit. They're rebooting the team's origins, kind of like when Captain Marvel was rebooted as a guy who could shoot off his limbs. So no rocket ship, no crash, and Dr. Doom has gone from being Victor Von Doom, the epic overlord of the country of Latveria, to a blogger with the screen name Doom. Looks like he isn't even a doctor anymore, which happens to many European medics who come to the United States. Oh, and Johnny and Sue Storm are still brother and sister, but Sue's white and Johnny's black, and so is Dad. Don't know much about Mom, but she may have had some splaining to do. I support the idea of making characters more racially diverse, but considering America's tragic racial history, was it really a good idea to have the black man on fire? Fourth thing you may not know about the Fantastic Four. The most recent artist on the FF comic, Leonard Kirk, worked on a modern revival of DC's first super team from the 1940s, the Justice Society, the team which inspired the later creation of the Justice League, which in turn inspired the creation of the Fantastic Four. Leonard's like the comic nerd's Kevin Bacon. I'm at the Sock. See you next Tuesday.